Yes. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to SharkCast Pod, catching up with Kieran over coffee about Cronulla. This is SharkCast Pod. My name is Sam Shinazzi, an OG from 2015, and I am off to a prelim. Kieran Fraser is off to a prelim, and the whole of Shark Nation is off to a prelim. It's very exciting. Let's go. I also have other news, Kieran. Aside from 7:50 on Saturday against Penrith in NRL, on Sunday, we have 3 games. We have Flegg Grand Final against Canterbury, 11 a.m. We have New South Wales Cup Grand Final against the Bears, 3 p.m. on Sunday. In between that, at 2 o'clock, we have NRLW prelim against the Broncos. So it's all happening, man. And that's highlighted by the NRL team. We will get into all the other grades throughout the week, but we're here to discuss NRL. You and I were out at the game. We became household names, in fact. We went viral by accident because of your great purchase of tickets. As soon as I sat down in those seats, I went, we're in trouble here, boys. And we were. Our phones blew up. I was celebrating a penalty try. And then we were all celebrating that great Trindle try. Hey, what a great achievement by the Sharks. Backs against the wall. Can't coach. Playmaker can't play. Excellent team effort. Man of the match, Braden Trindle, obviously. But Kieran, tell us how you're feeling. Tell me some things about the prelim that you experienced.
Well, first things first, I just think we need to kind of take a step back and appreciate where we're currently at as a club. When you look at the resources that the Sharks have, and you look at clubs like Brisbane, clubs like the Warriors, clubs like South that have Parramatta, the Bulldogs that can just throw cash around, to have 2 teams in grand finals, to have the boys and the girls to be 80 minutes away from a grand final as well, with the resources, it's just incredible effort from the club, and it shows the development and the plan that we're doing is actually working, right? So again, that's the first thing that comes to mind. But Friday night was an unbelievable night at the football. It was a bit annoying though, because things like getting a beer, right? People go have a go at Shark Park about getting a beer, but we got there 15, 20 minutes before the game, and I didn't get to my seat until 5-6 minutes into the first half. So, they've got these great facilities, but then obviously because there wasn't a sellout crowd, they didn't put all the staff on, and the lines were actually worse than what they were at Shark Park. So that was a bit strange to me, but
Can I just say that everything else was kind of better, aside from the fact that we love Shark Park more? It was a pretty cool experience.
The atmosphere was cool and things like that. It would have been great to have more Sharks fans there. But I just thought that kind of stood out to me as a little bit strange. But there's definitely a lesson to be learned. Don't buy tickets in the front row. Double check that, because otherwise it will go viral.
Well, I enjoyed the experience.
To be honest, I was actually talking to someone this morning, and they said it was so great to see you celebrating one of those tries, because you're jumping up and down and you're celebrating. And again, this person, it's Dave.
He was also up.
He was celebrating too. He's gone viral as well. But he was saying, because you're very measured person at the football, so to see you jumping around and celebrating like that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't hurt that we'd had 24 drinks beforehand as well. People just like, Shinaz, you went nuts. You're jumping over the fence. My belly was full of bourbon, and we were winning. It was a great time. We're not here to talk about drinking. We're not here to talk about lining up for beers. We're talking about the Sharks and what a great effort it was. On that point about the fans, and we're going to fly all over the shop here, but there'll be more fans this week, and there'll be more fans next week. So you know how it works. It sucks that there weren't more there. I was very pleased the amount that were there. Let's not rule out the fact there was train chaos.
Yeah,
hours before.
1,500 Cowboys fans were there. It was all Sharks.
Yeah. Now, great game. What did you make of the opening couple of sets where the forwards weren't doing hit-ups? That was obviously premeditated, right?
It was. I thought Sorry, my wife is dealing with the children, trying to get some shoes on very close to me. I thought the interesting part there was the impact that Jesse had, and watching the replay, I kind of viewed Jesse's game a little bit differently to what I did live. When I was watching it live, I noticed a lot of Jesse's carries on that third tackle, second tackle, where nobody really wants to take that ball and get smashed.
Yep.
And Jesse was being like shot out of a rocket. And it just made me feel so comfortable to see him back in the starting 13. So I think that was the one thing that I kind of took out of the first bit. But the forwards, they came back and they really got their stuff together, and they looked pretty good. I thought Toby was absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, it's not a knock on the forwards. I just thought it was interesting the first couple of sets that they were kind of not in the action, and it had to have been premeditated because that's not how you start games. And I'm going to hit up the coach this week if we can at some point and ask him, or at least ask the players what was going on there. Not a huge deal. It was just quite fascinating to me, but. Forwards did well, and the number one thing for me from that game was the kicking game from both players. It was dominated by Trindle, but Nico also had some great kicks, one that led to a try, and we just kept pinning them back. And you and I were sitting right in the try line where we scored the tries, as we said, and we could see them being pinned back from those kicks in line with it. Super impressive. Kick chase was great, and all that stuff that we did will have to be amplified this week and for longer periods, and we'll get into that. But that's what I thought was most impressive, Kieran. The kicking, the chasing, the Rugby League 101 was spot on. The handling was okay. It was only at 74%, so 31 to 42. We can improve on that. We did have almost 60% possession overall, though, so that's why we dominated. We had 2 tries disallowed. We had another bomb try. It could have been a lot bigger margin. It wasn't. But I thought overall, man, I don't have too many complaints. Even when the Cowboys got back into the game, that was just sort of the way the game swung. It was how good a team they are in attack. Did you have many qualms about the game itself, the performance?
I thought we were in control for the most part, right? The Cowboys started really well and they gave it to us. And the Cowboys, if you actually look at their whole game, actually played not too bad, right? Mm-hmm. They pushed a couple of passes in the second half because they were chasing points. But when you get out to a lead like we did, it is very hard to kind of get run down from that size of a lead. Now, saying that, if there's one team that would get run down by that sort of a lead, it's definitely us. So as they kind of got a little bit closer, it was a little bit like, hang on a minute, if they score again here, we could be really in trouble. But I think as long as we kept that 8-point distance between the two sides, I was feeling pretty confident. And they never really were able to execute on some of those Hail Mary plays that they were throwing at us. But, geez, they did come close. Like Reece Robson got out of dummy half a number of times and really tore us up. And that's something that you really have to watch yourself against the Panthers, because they will always be on the front foot with that forward pack that they've got. So it's going to be a huge test this week.
Yeah, I think everything's going to be amplified. I think that Penrith will be maybe twice as good as what the Cowboys were. And as you said, the Cowboys were good. We're going to have to be twice as good as what we were, and we were pretty good. So it's going to be a one for the ages, that's for sure. 17 offloads to 8. We need to do that against the Panthers. You can't go set for set with the Panthers. I know we like ball in hand and that kind of thing, and that'll be important. If we go set for set with the Panthers, we're still probably going to not win by 10 points. You need to do something more. And so you got to do this is why it's so hard. You got to do the normal stuff, the 101 stuff. Then you got to do something else.
Did you notice that there was a few times when they made breaks, like Ronaldo, I think, was one of them, and maybe Sione as well, that usually they put a kick in, and they didn't do that this time. They actually held the ball. They didn't risk the 7 tackle sets, and they played it safe. So they were actually in control. And I think when you go up against Penrith, you can't have errors. You can't have knock-ons. You can't have 7 tackle sets. You need to be measured and in control. So I thought that was a good sign.
I've had very small communication with the coach since the win, and the thing that he communicated to me, and he said it publicly as well, is what an opportunity this is. So things like what you just said about keeping that ball no matter what, not doing the Hail Mary stuff, unless it's, Jesse Raymond with a flick pass or... Well, yeah. Like, unless it's on. If it's second tackle, don't let the ball go. All that kind of thing. I think that he's going to absolutely drum that into their head. Aside from the fact that, opportunity to go to grand final. I'm sure he's got O2 stories. He'll bring up 16 with the club. Like they need to hammer all that stuff out mentally to realize what a chance they have.
Yeah.
But I think also what an opportunity to go play your best football on the biggest stage and then shock the world. And that's what's going to take, is to shock the world. But we're here to do it, and it's wild. And I'm kind of torn, Kieran. It's like I know we deserve to be here, like 100% deserve to be here. I'm a little bit shocked that we're one game away from a grand final, just given the up and down of the season. But at the same time, I'm not shocked because we like our team. We know on our best day we can beat anyone. We've proven that. So it doesn't surprise me on one side. The other side it does. I know that's a very wishy-washy statement, but I'm just sort of in this state of confusion walking around going, we're one game away from a grand final. How did we get here? Oh, because we're really good. Oh, but we're fine. So as you said at the start, an amazing display by the club in all grades, but in NRL in particular, the crap they went through last week from every news outlet, not just my own that I work for, but every news outlet,
ridiculous,
was over the top. There's more coming this week. I've already seen it.
And they've already started this another narrative that, Nico is getting paid double what Trindle does. It's ridiculous. If any fans are buying into that, then please come and see me, because I'll give you a stern talking to.
Yeah, you got to just let that one wash over you. Let them do their thing. They'll do their thing. We can't stop it. But it was a great team effort. I love the way the club addressed it, but then they moved on. I think it was last Tuesday. They had the media day, or Monday, and they let it go. They addressed it. They let it go. And this week, it'll be the same thing. There's media today. They'll do their media, get on with their week. And yeah, really impressed with the way the club handled it from start of the week to the end. I always get a bit worried in these situations that the club's going to celebrate a win too much on the field. They didn't. They were really happy. They're allowed to be happy. They're in their sheds. They're allowed to be happy. But they're moving on. It's a prelim. We haven't achieved much. We've won one finals game. We've lost one finals game this year. So there's a lot more to do. And I haven't heard of any further injuries throughout the last few days. So I'm hoping that we're all okay moving forward. I'll try and find out more today. But as far as I know, it's just healing. And, Jesse and Sifra probably have another light week. But at this point in time, it's all about, I think, mentally preparing for what's coming. But this team has to play for 80. Because we know Penrith are going to play for 80. Might even be longer. I hope not. But I'm up for it, Kieran. I think we can do it. But it's not going to be easy.
It's not going to be easy. I think if someone could start a rumor that Nathan Cleary's girlfriend is leaving him, that would be fantastic.
Is this a joke? Because I read in one of the columns. Yeah,
Uncle Buzz has put out a story. So Buzz is doing his part. Usually Buzz is putting out stories against the Sharks, but Buzz is actually this time he's trying to create some drama for the Panthers by saying that he could be going to Super League. So I think everybody should get out there early WWF 90s videos and get Papa Shongo. Let's try and get some voodoo going. We've got to pray here that the Panthers are looking past us, because the reality is this Panthers team is stacked. This Panthers team is the best side that has played rugby league possibly in history, right? They've won 3 comps in a row. They're going for a 4th. This is not like in the 60s when the Dragons had all our players, or the 70s whenever they did their run. This is in the modern day salary cap era. For them to be this stacked is pretty ridiculous, right? But as Fitz said in his press conference, and I really encourage every Sharks fan to get on foxsports.com, get onto the Sharks website and find this press conference, because the way Fitz talked about the club and what we are trying to achieve and how we are building, it speaks volumes. Now, you go back a few years, if you could find this out, Sam, I know I'm springing this on you, and you're not going to be able to do this right now, but if you could go and get somebody to work out how many times the Sharks and Panthers in the lower grades have clashed over the last few years, I think that's the story and the narrative that should be out there this week, because the Panthers have built a great nursery, but so have we. We have 2 lower grades in the grand final today, right? That's Penrith-esque. They did that a couple of years ago and they won all the grades, right? This Sharks team has players like Braden Trindle, who beat the Panthers in the under-20s grand final and was man of the match. Teague Wilton was playing that day, right? So again, these guys have been going up against the Panthers for years. And in the lower grades, they've actually had some success. Now, I don't know the exact record of, who's got more wins and all that type of stuff. So it'd be interesting to find that out. But I think we are kind of like a diet version of the Panthers. The Panthers are what we are trying to build and what we're trying to aspire to be. We've got a free shot at goal this week where nobody expects the Sharks to win. Nobody rates us. Again, buy into that narrative. All the experts last week were tipping the Cowboys. Somehow we were favorites, but if you listen to people on Fox Sports, if you listen to podcasts, everybody was saying the Cowboys attack is going to blow the Sharks away, blah, blah, blah. Nobody gave them any credit. So this is when Fitzy talks about respect. So again, this is your chance to prove it. You haven't done anything yet. You got a free shot at goal. Go and shock the world.
The other thing that's coming true is what he said about the players finding their feet around the 100-game milestone. Now, Trindle's not there, but he's going to be there. All the players playing together. Now, remember that when that was ripped apart earlier in the year, Kieran, why did he re-sign all these players? Like people ripping him apart. And now he's got the team to one game from a grand final with the same players who signed the same contracts.
Yep.
And that for me is one of the great things. Now, there is some milestones this week, Kieran. So Nico Hines plays his 100th game.
Fantastic.
There's some other milestones that you don't want to hear about if you buy into that stuff.
Give them to me.
Okay. We have Dylan Edwards, 150. Pretty good effort. Unfortunately, and I'm just going to say it once and then we'll move on because I think it's just a milestone and it should be acknowledged, but Isaiah Yeo becomes the most capped Penrith player in history this week.
That is so exciting that they can put an end to that. Just like they sent Val Holmes to the Dragons, they sent Chad Townsend to the New South Wales Cup side and the Roosters. We can end Isaiah Yeo's season as he becomes the most capped Panther in their dynasty. Mate, if that doesn't get the forwards fired up to go and bash him, what will?
Look, there's going to be a lot of talk about it, and we got to prepare for that, and it's all going to be about him, I think, when they run out, like all the coverage and everything else, it's going to be about him, and I couldn't care less, as in, like, amazing milestone, great player, but, whatever.
All the coverage will be about Trindle and Nico, and then they'll create this narrative around Nico's pay packet and all this nonsense. So as a Sharks fan, you just got to block out all this stuff and think, look at what they've built. Look at where we're going. There are some gaps that we need to improve. We need to find that spark. And then a guy like Trindle steps up and gives us that spark. And then they want to try and use that against us, right? It's us against the world here, Sam.
No, I just meant like when they run out, the coverage before the game. It's not going to be about us or about Trindle.
I reckon it'll be about Nico.
Oh, leading up to it, it's going to be there. There's people who have written columns whose names I'm not going to mention for different reasons who are already saying like, well, the pressure's still on. The pressure's not on. There's no pressure on any player this week. And if the papers and the websites and the TV people want to talk about it, they can. But as viewers and listeners of this podcast, we urge you not to buy into that unless you believe it too. If you believe it too, that's your prerogative. But Nico Hines, I mean, he's got to go out and have a great game. Absolutely, he has to. But there's no pressure. There's no pressure on these guys now because they've broken the losing hoodoo. They've shown what they can do on the big stage. No one gives them a chance this week. So therefore, the pressure is off. Internally, they got to play to their standards. They got to kick ass. Absolutely. But externally, media, etc., blah, 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 BS. There's no pressure.
Yeah. And again, I'm not happy if we lose this week. I can't stress that enough. I am desperate for this club to win. I am desperate for us to win a competition again. I want to feel like I felt in 2016. That was amazing. But if we don't somehow get it done, it's literally against the greatest club side that the game has seen. Now, we are aggressively looking to get better as a club. We have our reserve grade in our 20s in the grand final, right? We've got these kids coming through. We're bringing in Adam Faneuil-Blake. Again, put yourself in the South fans' shoes who were coming first, middle of the way last year, middle of the season. They signed Jack Whiten. They don't lose a single player. They're adding Jack Whiten. And they lose every single game since, right? So again, have some perspective. Enjoy the moment. Don't dread going up against Penrith. Get out there to the football because imagine if the Sharks can pull this off and you weren't there. Like, that would be the worst feeling. And I'm saying that as someone who can't make the game. So I'm excited.
Yeah, and I also think, aside from those emotions, which will be amazing, don't get me wrong, you're 100% right. I also think that if you're a supporter of this team and you can get to the game, you can afford it, you can physically get there, you're able, go do it. Don't fear the loss because, as we said, Kieran, personally last week, one team's going to win, one team's going to lose. We got a 50% chance of winning in that
Yep.
scheme of things. One's going to win, one's going to lose. It might
Yep.
be us.
Well, look at the Manly game, right? I thought Manly was going to win that game, and they kicked the ball off. They lose two players to HIAs in the first 20 seconds, the first two tackles. You never
Yeah,
know what's going to happen. Like
yeah.
crazy things have happened before. So hopefully, Buzz keeps writing stories about them, and we drum up some crazy rumors, and we get the W.
Yeah, I think that I heard that Dylan Edwards wants to go to England as well to be closer to Cleary and his girlfriend. So he's going to play for Manchester United, I think, or something.
Maybe Toto wants more money again. That was a rumor a few months ago. Let's bring that back.
I mean, we talk about rumors, we talk about concussions. I don't want to rely on that stuff. I want to go out there and play good footy.
I'm
And
getting voodoo out.
yeah, well, voodoo's good too, but I want to just play good footy. I want to play like last week, but I want to cut out some of the errors. I want our middle forwards to really shore up that middle, particularly the benchies. I thought didn't let us down, but they looked a little bit like they were going to crack at times. They didn't really, but they looked like they were going to. So I don't want that this week. Are you making any changes at all to that team?
No, I'm keeping it 1 through 17. Again, you're
Okay.
going up against Penrith, you're going up against that monster pack. If we go back to the game earlier this year, which a lot of us were, when we played Penrith at Shark Park, a lot of us were confident we could get the job done that day, right? We had just beaten the Storm, we had just beaten the Roosters. A lot of us felt it. They didn't have Cleary, and the Panthers just stormed through our front door, right? So there's so many lessons from that game that I think the club can take. I think our starting props that day were Kafusi and Hazelton, and then we had Hunt and Tooks on the bench, right? So now we've got Toby starting, and Toby's aggressive. We need a Toby performance like this weekend, not versus Manly. Sorry, not versus like the Storm.
Mm-hmm.
So again, a bit more experience there. We've got Hunt back on the bench. Like we've got a little bit more there. So I would keep the same 17, go with the power game. Hopefully we can get more minutes into Sipper because I know he's a little bit busted at the moment. So again, hopefully we can use him. But
He
I
looked
thought
good when he was out there.
he did look good. But again, we need everybody on deck, and our best 17 is that best 17, right? So the one cool thing I thought I saw in the sheds after the game was the smile on Daniel Atkinson's face when the team was singing the songs, and watching how happy he was and how he was in and amongst all the boys, and how much he actually just loves this club and loves his teammates. And again, that is the environment that Fitzy is creating. He obviously would have been extremely disappointed to not be in that 17, but he still understood that I have a job to play here. I might have to get on the field because of an accident, and I'm going to go do my all. I'm not going to kick stones about this. I'm going to go support my teammates. So I thought that was really cool. And the other cool thing I thought I saw in the sheds when they were singing the songs was ET in the background, video recording it all and singing along too. I thought that was unbelievable.
Is that right?
Yeah, if you watch the videos, you can see ET with a huge smile on his face and his phone in the air recording all the boys singing, and he's singing along too.
That's pretty epic. Hey, looking at the player minutes from the weekend, Toby Rudolph, 46 minutes, Kafusi, 34, McInnes, 70. So Talakai, 16, Williams, 35, Hunt, 11, Hazelton, 30. So Talakai and Hunt really not playing much. Talakai because of injury, we think. But we're going to need more out of all four of those guys on the bench against the Panthers.
I think once we got out to that big lead of like 24 points at half time, we still hadn't used Sipper or Hunt. So it was kind of like we were saving them a little bit for it. Sipper, for obvious reasons. I'm not sure about the Hunt situation. But again, this is Royce now. This could be his last game for us. And we've seen him come on and absolutely destroy teams like the Broncos game, for example, this year. We need to see Royce at his rampaging best, and we need to see him going after those big Panthers forwards. Because again, if you look at the two teams, where I think we could potentially get the Panthers is I rate our centers better than their centers. I think our wingers are potentially better than their wingers. I know Toto is unbelievable, but I think the consistency of the two that we've got is pretty handy. But our bench has the potential to really stand up compared to their bench. Their bench is a lot of up and coming players, whereas I think our bench is kind of established around that 100-game mark now, or after 50 games, and they're ready to rip and tear. So hopefully our bench can help us out.
All right, it's going to be a fun one, Kieran. We've got a short episode today for lots of different reasons, but we might try and grab you later in the week from your destination. So we'll see how we're going with all that sort of stuff, but we definitely want to pump out some eps this week because we're so excited. I know you're pretty excited, so appreciate your time. Hey, lots of fun on Friday. That was a memorable night. It was from start to finish. It was a good one.
We met a couple of Sharkcasters out there too, right? So that was pretty cool.
We met a few, like all over the shop actually, in all sorts of different spots. So it was really nice to meet everyone, and it was just, as I'm sure most people had a lovely time like we did. It was just a lot of fun.
What was even better though? It was Saturday. Because Saturday, it's September in the Shire. The sun was out. The mood was good. You could actually feel the vibe in the air. And again, I was a little bit dusty because I had a lot of fun on Friday night. I had my daughter's 5th birthday party, so that was a tough carry. But you could feel the energy when you were walking into, like, I was doing some groceries before and things like that. People had their Sharks gear on. It was like September in the Shire when the sun was out, mid-20s. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, I had to deal with a few things on Saturday morning, and the gentleman I was dealing with was just all about the Sharks. I had my hat on, I think, or something. He was just like, well, how good was last night, and all this sort of stuff. So very exciting times. We know Sharks fans our listeners are there 24/365, but there are another whole set who come out for this time of year, and they're very welcome, and hopefully they can add to the numbers this week because the Panthers are going to travel. So that's the other thing I would say is the Panthers are going to travel this week. So if you can get to the ground, definitely do so. Wear your colours, have a good time, and let's hope we can get the win. Let's go to the grand final. Extraordinary times. Kieran, we will leave it there, my friend. We'll catch up with you when we can. And we will just ride on a high because enjoy the time, but definitely have some expectation. Don't go into this game without any because I feel like we deserve some expectation.
Shock the world, baby.
Shock the world. Up Cronulla. We will talk to you all soon. Let's go.